At 85, I've lived through enough to know life is a mix of joy, struggle, and lessons that only time can teach. But there's one choice I made that still lingers in my mind. One decision I wish I could revisit: retiring early at 55. Back then, it felt like the dream. Freedom from the daily grind, time to travel, to live life on my terms. My friends cheered me on, my spouse was all in, and I thought I was stepping into a new chapter of endless possibilities. But the reality? It was nothing like I'd pictured. If you're thinking about early retirement, whether for yourself or someone close to you, maybe you're imagining long days of leisure or finally tackling that bucket list. But before you make that leap, I want to share 6 lessons I wish someone had told me before I turned in my office keys. Because early retirement isn't just about freedom. It reshapes your life in ways you might not expect. And once you're going back isn't always an option. Stick with me to the end, because these insights might surprise you. If you know someone weighing this decision, this video could be the wake-up call they need before changing their life forever. Let's dive in. Lesson 1. Losing my daily rhythm. When I retired early, I thought I was gaining freedom. But the first shock wasn't the extra time. It was losing the rhythm that had defined my days. At work, I had structure, meetings to prep for, deadlines to meet, coffee breaks with colleagues. Even the commute, as much as I grumbled about it, gave my days a pulse. At home, though, that rhythm vanished. The first few weeks, I slept in, lingered over coffee, and told myself this was the life. But soon I noticed the days blurring together. Without a reason to get up, I'd stay in pajamas until noon. I'd plan to read a book or start a hobby. But instead, I'd end up scrolling on my phone, feeling restless. I remember one morning, sitting on my porch watching the neighborhood bustle, kids heading to school, neighbors rushing to work. And it hit me. I was outside of it all. My old life had a tempo, a purpose that kept me moving. In retirement, I had to create that from scratch, and it was harder than I expected. The truth is, humans thrive on routine, even the ones we think we hate. When you retire early, you're not just leaving a job. You're leaving a framework that shaped your days. And without it, you can feel adrift, like a boat without a rudder. If you're considering early retirement, ask yourself, are you ready to build a new rhythm from the ground up? Because without one, time can feel more like a burden than a gift. Lesson 2. The social void. One of the hardest parts of early retirement was realizing how much my social world revolved around work. I didn't just lose a paycheck, I lost a community. My colleagues weren't just coworkers, they were friends I laughed with, vented to, shared milestones with. When I retired, I thought we'd stay in touch. I pictured lunches, game nights, maybe even group trips. And for a while it happened. We'd meet for coffee, catch up, reminisce. But as time passed, those meetups dwindled. They were still working, caught up in deadlines and office gossip while I was, planning my next nap? Life moved on for them, but I felt stuck, like I was watching from the sidelines. I tried joining clubs, a book group, a gardening meetup, but it wasn't the same. Those bonds from years of shared challenges were hard to replace. I remember one holiday season, expecting invites to old work parties, but the calls never came. I sat at home, flipping through channels, feeling like I'd been erased from the world I used to know. Early retirement can make you feel invisible, not because people stop caring, but because their lives keep moving while yours slows down. If you're thinking about retiring early, ask yourself, are you prepared to rebuild your social circle? Because when work ends, the connections you took for granted might fade faster than you think. If you're finding this helpful, drop number 2 in the comments to let me know you're with me. And if you haven't subscribed yet, hit that button and turn on the bell so you don't miss what's next. Lesson 3. The Purpose Gap. When I retired, I thought I was trading stress for freedom. But what I didn't expect was how much purpose my work gave me. It wasn't just about the tasks. I managed projects, mentored younger colleagues, solved problems that made a difference. Those things made me feel needed, like I was contributing something real. In retirement, I thought I'd fill that space with hobbies, maybe learn to paint, take up golf. But those things didn't carry the same weight. Painting a canvas felt trivial compared to leading a team through a tough deadline. I'd spend hours tinkering in the garage or gardening, but by evening I'd wonder, what did I actually do today? I saw it in others too. A friend, Tom, retired at 57 after a career as a teacher. He loved his students, the way their eyes lit up when they grasped something new. In retirement, he tried volunteering, but it wasn't the same. "I feel like I'm just filling time," he told me once, and I got it. Without something to strive for, the days felt hollow. Purpose isn't just about staying busy. It's about feeling like you matter. Early retirement can strip that away if you're not ready to fight for it. If you're considering this path, ask yourself, what makes you feel like your life has meaning? Because in retirement, you'll need to find new ways to answer that question, and it's not as easy as it sounds. Lesson 4. Financial stress sneaks. I thought I'd planned well for retirement. I had savings, a pension, and a spreadsheet, mapping out my expenses. But early retirement brought surprises I hadn't accounted for. Without a steady paycheck, every unexpected cost, a car repair, a medical bill, felt like a crisis. I'd budgeted for travel, but inflation crept up, and suddenly, that dream trip to Italy was out of reach. I also didn't anticipate how much. I'd miss the little luxuries, dining out, buying gifts for my grandkids. I cut back, but it stung. Then there were the hidden costs of time. With no job to fill my days, I spent more on hobbies, subscriptions, anything to stay occupied. I met others in the same boat. A neighbor, Ellen, retired at 54 and thought she was set. But after a few years, she was dipping into savings faster than planned. "I didn't realize how long I'd need to stretch it," she said. Early retirement sounds like financial freedom, but it can feel like a tightrope if you're not prepared for decades without income. I wish I'd worked a few more years or found a part-time gig to ease the transition. If you're thinking about retiring early, ask yourself, have you planned for the long haul, not just the next few years? Because money worries can turn your dream retirement into a source of stress. If you're still here and finding value in this, comment number 4 below, and if you haven't subscribed, do it now and hit the bell to stay in the loop. Your support keeps this channel going. Lesson 5. The loss of identity work wasn't just a job, it was part of who I was. For 30 years I was the project manager, the one people turned to for solutions. I took pride in that. When I retired early, I didn't just leave my desk. I left a piece of myself behind. People stopped asking for my advice or expertise. At gatherings, I'd hear, "Oh, you're retired now, must be nice." But it didn't feel nice. It felt like I'd lost my place in the world. I tried to redefine myself, picking up photography, volunteering at a local shelter, but it was hard to shake the feeling that I wasn't someone anymore. I remember meeting a retired doctor at a community event. He'd left medicine at 60, thinking he'd enjoy the slower pace. But he told me, "I miss being the person who could help, who knew things others didn't." That hit home. Early retirement can make you question who you are when the title you carried for decades is gone. If you're considering this step, ask yourself, are you ready to let go of the identity your career gave you? Because finding a new sense of self takes time and effort you might not expect. Lesson 6. It's harder to re-enter than you think. When I retired, I told myself I could always go back to work if it didn't suit me. Maybe a part-time role, consulting, something to keep me engaged. But the reality was different. After a couple of years out, my skills felt rusty. The industry had moved on. New tech, new jargon, new faces. I applied for a few roles, but employers wanted younger candidates or people still in the game. I hadn't realized how fast the world changes when you step away. My confidence took a hit too. After months of unstructured days, I wasn't sure I could handle the pace of work anymore. I met others who felt the same. A woman I knew, Sarah, retired at 58 from marketing. She tried freelancing a year later but found clients hesitant to hire someone out of touch. The longer you're out, the harder it is to jump back in. Early retirement feels like a reversible choice, but it can lock you into a path you didn't expect. If you're thinking about retiring early, ask yourself, are you ready to close the door on your career for good? Because going back might be tougher than you imagine. If you're still with me, comment number 6 below to let me know, and if you haven't subscribed, hit that button and turn on the bell. Your support helps us keep sharing these stories. Final thoughts. Looking back, I don't regret chasing my dreams, but I do regret thinking early retirement was a simple ticket to happiness. I expected freedom, adventure, and ease. Instead, I found myself grappling with lost routines, fading connections, and a sense of purpose that was harder to reclaim than I'd thought. Does that mean early retirement is a mistake? Not always. Some thrive in it with the right planning and mindset. But it's not the carefree esca